go ahead and bring the 2013 Touring Series champion, Ronnie Johnson. Welcome to the Old Man's Garage NeSmith Race Report. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Roby guy had to get to something, so when I'm by myself, I don't know that I'm getting out unless he tells me, and I wasn't getting out the first 15 minutes. That's why I couldn't get you on. So I apologize.
Yeah, I was definitely having trouble getting through there.
Well, you know, looking at your career, I mean, winning and you've got championships in the past. Before we talk about this latest one, can you talk about the first championship you won, whether it was a track championship, whether it was a points championship? What was the first championship like that you won? And do you remember as a young driver what it meant to win the first championship?
Well, honestly, I've always kind of skipped around and run various tracks, you know, throughout a season, and I don't know that I've ever even won a track championship.
Really?
Yeah, because I've always liked to travel around and go to different places. So I don't know that I've ever run you know a whole season at any certain track exclusively. I won the Southern All-Star Point Championship. I think we won that 3 times, but I mean that's a long time ago. It's been a long time. The last time I actually attempted to run for a point championship in earnest would have been clear back in 1996, the year that I drove for Scott Bloomquist, and we raced for the Tampa Championship and wound up coming in third behind Freddie Smith and Scott. That was the last time that I tried in earnest to, you know, really to follow one. I started out, I think in 2006 with intentions of following the whole NeSmith series, and we got to about probably Memorial Weekend or maybe July 4th weekend, and it just wasn't working out, and so I didn't follow all the races. But to go back and touch on what you asked me to touch on was, I definitely remember winning the Southern All-Stars Point Championship there in '85. It was at the time was NASCAR sanctioned. There was a trend there from about '85 through '88 where NASCAR got involved with a lot of the dirt tracks in the South, and there was kind of a push to pave tracks, and there were several dirt tracks that went to pavement, you know, under the NASCAR banner, and honestly, most of them are either closed now or they went back to dirt. Some of the tracks that we race on now, one of the tracks comes to my mind immediately. 411 Speedway was paved for quite a while, and it went back dirt. But anyway, before NASCAR had these guys convinced they needed to pave their tracks to go to the next level, we were 85, 86, and 87. I ran with that series, and we won 2 of those championships and ran second in the other one. So there was about three or 4 years there that I followed their races exclusively, and then we would go to other races when we could. But points racing just kind of takes precedent, even if you've got an off weekend, especially when it gets down close to the end and you've got a chance to win it. You're almost afraid to go race anywhere else. You're afraid you might lose some of your equipment, or you're afraid you could get injured, or just anything to keep you from going to those points races. So points racing requires a different mindset than just going out racing.
Over the course of your career, and of course it's nowhere near being finished, have you seen anything trends like the CT, like the 525 or the 604, 602? Have you seen something come along that kind of changed the way people race? And what I mean by that is, like, allowed more people to stay in. Have you ever seen such a thing in all the changes that have taken place during your career?
Actually, I have a couple of times, and it's been engine related, but they turned out to just be trends, and I certainly hope that the 604 and the 525 are, 10 years down the road or whatever, 20 years down the road, that we're not saying that's what happened here, but we had in the early 80s, there was a successful race promoter in the East Tennessee area that had the idea to come out with what he called a 9-to-1 engine, because it was a limited compression, all steel. It's an inexpensive engine. You weren't allowed to do a lot with it, and we were along that time. We were in a similar. Our country was in a similar situation. We were, there was a recession going on. The crowds were down. The car counts were down. Everybody was complaining about the cost of racing. And this guy came out with this idea, and he influenced 2 or 3 of the tracks in East Tennessee to. He had a track, but he influenced a couple of others to go along with him with these rules, and it was slow to catch on. A lot of resistance, and the way I looked at it was, if this engine was inexpensive at the time. I didn't have another engine because we'd torn up our other stuff that we had and couldn't afford to fix it. But anyway, we put this engine together and went, and it enabled us to go race. And the deal caught on in East Tennessee, and it spread a little farther. But what happened, and this happens way too often, another track or another series or whatever, they adopt this engine rule, but you can do this to it. Or we're going to let you run that. And in about 5 years, now you've got something that started out to be a 9-to-1 engine that at the time you could build for about the same money as we're building the 604 or buying the 604s for. It turned into a 13-to-1 engine that cost, twice what it did originally, and you could run it here, but you couldn't quite run it there, and it just gets out of hand. And that's the beauty of the 604 and especially the 525. The 604, we've got certified rebuilders, and doesn't keep someone from tampering with the engine. But with the NeSmith series, we've got a great tech crew in place, and I just don't think you're going to slip much by Tim Sims. And so we've got that going for us. And then with the certified builders, if somebody gets out of line, and I'm not even saying that could happen, but if somebody does something that are out of the GM specs on the engine, then they lose their credentials. The 525 at this point is to be repaired only by the folks at Chevrolet. And if it can stay that way, I'm hoping that we will not get into the pitfalls that we have in the past when something affordable has come along, but it just seems to get out of hand. Past that 9-to-1 engine, the next time that there was some good news to come along was there was a spec engine, it was just called a spec engine that I don't even know who built the first one. The first one I ever heard of was from Brown Engineering down there in Aberdeen, Mississippi, and it was this $6,500 engine, and it was a good deal. But the same thing happened in 5 or 10 years. Now that's a $15,000 to $20,000 engine, and so this stuff just gets out of hand. We're our own worst enemy in that respect. But like I said, with the NeSmith series, we've got a really good tech system in place, and some of the other races that around the country that are run, with the 604 engine, they specify that they're going by the genuine GM specs or the NeSmith rules. But it really all boils down to who's checking them. And like I said, one of the best things that we have going for us is the guy that takes our cars. He's going to call it like he sees it, and you're going to be mad at him or whatever, but he's going to do it the way it needs to be done. I've seen this guy in action for years now, and I've never seen him lay down to a threat. I've never seen him look the other way on anything. So we definitely have something in our favor there.
Yeah, Tim I've heard people say Tim would throw his mama out and she was wrong, so that's always a good thing. No, but let me ask you this question. When it comes to competition, take away what kind of motor it is, what's more important to Ronnie Johnson? Is it going fast or is it the racing part? And people seem to confuse fast and racing, because racing doesn't always mean fast. What's more important to you, the racing or being fast?
To me, the racing. But I'm not the only. Well, actually, I'm not. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what I think. But I mean, I'm just answering your question. We've got to satisfy the fans, and you're going to have a never-ending argument over fast cars and good racing. But I've been doing this a long time, and when I was younger, I wanted to go have fast time. I wanted to go. I loved it if it rained, or if the track was too wet or whatever. I wanted to. If there was going to be a track record, I wanted to be the guy that set it. And we'd put a lot of effort into that. And more often than not, the guy that sets fast time, especially if it's one of those nights when the track's really fast, more often than not, that guy doesn't win the race. Because when it slows down, he's put so much effort into going fast that he can't slow down. And, and again, it comes with time and it comes with age. Like I said, used to, I wanted to see how fast I could go. Now I want to see how well I can finish. And I certainly enjoy the race. I enjoy a good race. Obviously, you enjoy it if you're the person doing the passing and not the person getting passed. But to me, it's the racing. But you're never gonna be able to satisfy everyone. Some of them come to see just see the cars go fast, to see if they can go faster than they went before. And some of them enjoy a really good race. I heard you mention there before I came on the air with you that that Greenville was a multi-groove racetrack, and it certainly was. And you don't often get that in the daytime. Daytime racing usually is follow the leader, but that I mean, I started far enough back, and we had double file restarts have helped us to have good racing and to maintain a good racetrack, because if everybody, sometimes you can take a one groove racetrack and you can have a couple of double file restarts and widen the track out. But So we did have a very racy track. I mean, I ran fourth. I would have liked to ran better, but the track that we had all weekend was the kind of track I like. I like a track that's slow, but yet you can race all over it. You know, you mentioned Johnny Stokes. Magnolia Speedway is one of my favorite tracks. If you are able to do the right things, make the right changes to your car and put the right tires on there, whatever, it doesn't matter where you start. You can win the race. And you may never open the four-barrel doing it. Some of the fans don't like that, but that's definitely the kind of racing that I like. It's just so much easier on the equipment, easier on the driver, you know, when it slows down. When that track is really fast, if that track's fast and rough, and you just tear up so much stuff, and it makes it so much harder to get ready to go back the next week, and it goes farther than the car. If you go somewhere and it rains and the track's muddy and the pits are muddy, I don't think that the casual fan has an idea of how much maintenance and work goes into the car and the tires and even cleaning up the hauler, and you got guys walking in and out of that trailer with muddy shoes, and they're not just walking on the floor, they're bumping into the cabinets, and I mean it takes so much, and we can't control weather, but it just is so much harder to get ready for the next race if you've got a wide open racetrack. So for that reason, and the fact, like I said, that I'm just getting older and like for the thing to be a little bit slower, I look for, when I'm trying to choose my races, I look for the places that I think are going to be slow but racy. Now, when you're following a point series, you got what you get when you get there, and you just have to accept that and go on. But I certainly enjoy racing on a track like we had this weekend.
Several times during our conversation tonight, you've mentioned age, experience. Mentioned that you get a little bit older, but surrounded by youth in the NeSmith series. Kyle Bronson, Tate Davenport, of course, Johnny Stokes is a spring chicken. Justin McCree, Riley Hollingsworth, Josh Atkins, Brent Barrett, and Matthew Turner. What's it like for you? I mean, because the Dirt Late model has been your life, and you've made a hell of a career out of it. You're a Hall of Famer. But what's it like to be able to race against these youngsters? And it doesn't seem like you had to. I mean, you've raced with every one of them, it seems like, but it doesn't seem like. Have you ever had to have that veteran moment with any of them? It seems like they've all raced pretty clean with you.
No, there's a really good group of racers out there, and each each of the different regions that we might go to, if we race in different states or whatever, you'll have different groups of young guys coming up, and there's really a lot of good ones right now. But when I race with those guys, I want, it's just like anything else that you do, with younger people, whoever you're around, if you go to the Cracker Barrel, you sit in the rocking chair, and I love to eat at the Cracker Barrel. But if you race with young guys, you got to race like young guys.
Yeah.
They keep you young, and it doesn't matter that I've raced for a long time. You never know it all. The technology constantly is changing, and not in leaps and bounds, and not even we all have the same engines in this series, and also in the Chevrolet Performance 525 series, we all have the same engines, but the technology just is constantly evolving, and you have to stay on top of that. And or else it doesn't take long and you're behind, or else it doesn't take long and you feel old. You feel like you're behind. But with all of these guys, I like to race them. If I can pass them, if I'm better than they are on a particular night, I try to race them with respect, and I've found that all those guys, give that back. But give that back if you race them that way. Now, we're all, even all of us, you mentioned Johnny Stokes. He and I are in our late 50s. And so we've raced for a long time, but we still can go out there and make a mistake. We can still mess up, and we can get into a guy racing him, or we can do something that we wish we could go back and do over, but you can't change it. So you're even though you raced a long time and you've got experience, you still can do some stupid stuff, but you're not expected to. And so I really try to race those guys with respect, and they'll give it back to you. Is what I've found. We raced up there at 411 Speedway. There's a really good group of young guys coming up there at that track and in that area. Not to take away from any other area, it's just probably I know of them better because that's an area that, even though it's 2 hours from here, that's an area that I used to race at a lot, in the Knoxville area. But there's a good bunch of guys coming up. And you mentioned Kyle Bronson. I think this is his first year in a late model, but I think he's got. I don't know him very well. Talked to him a little bit. I think he's got some experience at different tracks in a modified, and those guys just want to race. I mean, there's a group right there. I'm not even sure how often they go home. You got a group of 3 or 4 guys living in a truck, going from race to race, and to some that looks glamorous, but and you got to really be dedicated to want to ride around basically in an RV with 4 sweaty guys, day in and day out. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work and dedication. Those guys, there was some races or some time in between some races this year, and I saw where, I saw Kyle's name pop up at 2 or 3 late model races, super late model races. So, a guy like that, you just keep going and you just keep going. You keep going to all these races, and if you keep going, after a while, you're going to start, you're going to be like, hey, you remember that guy that ran second in the 2013 NeSmith points? Hey, that guy just won this race, and he won that race. And, that's just all of these guys that have won all these, big races, whether it be in whatever, with whatever engines or whatever series or whatever, they've done that. Nobody just went and got a car and went out there and won any of the crown jewels or any of the championships. It takes a long time to learn how to race.
A couple races ago, we're going to stay on the subject of the young drivers. A couple races ago, at one of your favorite tracks, Magnolia, you ran second to Chase Washington. In Victory Lane, you walked up and you shared some words with Chase. Do you recall? I recall what you said, but do you recall what you told Chase when you shook his hand there in that emotional Victory Lane there at Magnolia?
I don't remember, but I'm just standing there thinking to myself that, I could only, there's no way, because I haven't experienced what, I've been very, very fortunate health-wise, been injured a couple of times racing, broken bones, but never any type of life-threatening situation. I know the first injury I had was a broken arm, broke a couple of bones, broke them in two, and it was the first, and I was a lot younger. It was the first time that I ever realized that what I did was a privilege. It wasn't anything else. It was a privilege. I was privileged to be able to race a car and be fairly successful at it. And, you break an arm and you're thinking, man, this could have been a lot worse. It's just an arm. They tell me it'll heal up. But it makes you realize that that you're not immortal, that you could get hurt, that something could happen to you, and it could take away what you have a passion for. So I've never experienced, I've never had to have any kind of surgery for anything like Chase had, but I'm just standing there thinking that, it's just an inspiration, to us all, not just to those of us that race with him, but the people that witness, what he does, or anyone like that, if they're able to come back and do what they have a passion for. And I'll promise you that, from the couple of injuries that I had, if you're able to come back from them, and I'm just talking broken arms, and I wouldn't wish a broken arm on anybody, but it's not, you don't have to go have chemotherapy, and a broken arm don't come back, like cancer can. And it will make, when you come back to race, you have such a desire to get well and to, to rehabilitate and get back to doing what you do, and you're going to be better at it than you ever were before. And you can see that with Chase. You can just see it. He's just a better racer than he ever was, and he's just got started back.
Yeah, we're in trouble. Well, what you said was, and I think I may misquote you a little bit, but the gist of what you said was, buddy, I don't like finishing second, but I'm proud to finish second to you tonight. Was that based on that he was just that good?
Well, he was good, and we were. I'm not gonna deny. I really feel like we were about a fifth place car that night. Two guys got tangled up and took themselves out. Montana Dudley and I don't even remember who the other driver was. They got in they shared a wreck, and it took them both out. So that moved me to third. And Evan Ellis clipped one of those tire barriers around the inside and towed his car out in a spindle. And it slowed him down. Didn't take him out, but it slowed him down enough I was able to squeak back by him there. So I really felt like we were a fifth-place car, and I'd already been pretty much given a gift. But I don't think anybody was gonna run with him. And I know on the way home, one of the guys with me, I was kind of bummed because we had not made the right changes or the right calls or whatever, and I basically was kind of bummed because I had a fifth-place car. And he said it wouldn't have mattered what you'd have done tonight. That 38 car was meant to win this race. And yeah. I think he, it just gives you a different perspective. Here I am, I'm bummed and fussing because I was going to run fifth, and running fifth is not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
I tell you what the worst thing in the world is to a guy that drives a race car and has a passion for it. The worst thing in the world is not being able to drive that car. That's the worst thing, and that's the worst penalty that you can give a driver. If you can send them to the rear, you can take their money, you can take their points. But if you tell a guy he can't race, that's it. That's just the ultimate penalty. So somebody with an illness that can't race their car, and I'm sure that Chase was happy when he saw that car win some races earlier this year. But I doubt if it would have been anything like him just being able to drive it, much less win the race. He was I guess he was light down there the other night before we weighed. They didn't put fuel in or something. I don't know. We were parked right beside him, so I don't know what happened. A lot of people would have got mad, would have loaded up, fussed. They just started in the back of the heat, and I thought he was going to win the heat. But that's just seeing somebody go through that and being able, because only a few recover, only a few get to come back and do what they want to do. Again, I've never experienced that disease. My mom died of cancer, and it's just a terrible thing. And when you're young, you don't even think about it. You just, when you're young, you're just invincible. You don't think anything can happen. And like I said, it's clear back, I was probably, 30 years old when I broke that first arm, and I realized that, there's nobody's guaranteed me I'm going to get to drive this car. Something could happen. And, it's been, doesn't seem like it now, but it's been, we're going on, 12, 13, 14 years or something since Dale Earnhardt got killed. So, there's a lot of these younger guys might not even, but when you're watching this race and they come on there and they say, the guy comes out there and says, we've lost Dale Earnhardt, he's been killed in this wreck, and you're thinking that's not possible. And then the next day you're thinking, well, if Dale Earnhardt could get killed in this, then I could probably get killed. You just when you're younger, you just don't see any of that coming. You just don't think it can happen. And so again, like I said a while ago, I'm really fortunate. I tell people all the time that I'm the healthiest 57-year-old that they'll ever meet, and it's harder to stay out here all night working on that car. It's harder, crawling around under it, strapping it down, or mounting tires. It's just harder to do that. But when I get when the weather's hot and I get tired, I also have to realize that I'm very fortunate to be able to still do this health-wise, and to be able to still do it fairly well just really, really means a lot. When we win a race and winning this championship, it means a lot, because you never know, especially when you start, as you get older, you finally realize that you're not going to be able to do this forever. There's not a lot of 80 or 90-year-old race car drivers out there.
That's right.
I remember.
Well, Ronnie,
I remember. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. Tell me what you remember.
Just one quick thing. I remember years ago I was really struggling with my racing. This is, I don't know, a long, long time ago. I was really struggling, really having a hard time. And I remember my wife asking me one time if she says, well, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. And I guess she probably thought, what was I going to do for a job or for income or whatever. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to go race. And she says, you're not going to be like Red Farmer, are you? And this is years ago. And I thought about it, and I said, I hope so. Well, that guy's 80. He's still racing. So that's another inspiration there.
I hope we get to see the 5-car around that much longer. Well, what I was going to tell you is we got a few people on the line here that want to congratulate us. Let's start out with let's welcome this gentleman's name is Mike, and I believe he's from Cartersville, Georgia. Mike, you with us?
Yes, sir, guys. Enjoying the show. Been good.
Real
good.
Mike, you're on the phone with the Flash.
I tell you what, Webb, it's been a great 2013 season for the NeSmith Chevrolet Dirt Late Model Series, and on behalf of myself and my wife Heather and all of our staff with the NeSmith crew and all the good folks from NeSmith Chevrolet, I just wanted to call in and congratulate Ronnie and tell him a job well done. And it's an honor to have, in my opinion, a national treasure and a racing icon like Ronnie to represent our series. And he's as I've been quoted as saying, he's the last of Mohicans, and I firmly believe that. And it's just an honor and a privilege to have him to believe in our beliefs and that racing can be like we're doing, with making it affordable and having fun, and it's just really good to have Ronnie as our champion. We look forward to him representing the series and all of his sponsors and crews and everybody that's helped him over the years. I know a lot of them. I've known Ronnie for several years now, and there's been a lot of people that's helped him to get this championship. And he you can look up and he may pull in. He may have 5 people that's over there helping him, and he may be over there by himself. But he gives it 110% every time he rolls through the gate, and he's the fans love him, and we just want to call and congratulate him.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, all of that, Mike, and I will. When we race, like I said, even though I've raced for a long time, you can still do some stupid stuff in the spur of the moment, and I will try to limit that so that y'all, so I won't let you down, and you can still be proud to know me.
Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, it's been a good year, and I know there's a lot of folks wanting to call in and congratulate you, Ronnie. But like I said, we appreciate you, and we still got some racing to do this year. We got a big 525 Super Series race coming up, grand finale this weekend at one of your favorite tracks too, at Talladega, and then we'll head off down there in November at Bubba Raceway Park for that NeSmith World Championship, 9th annual, and you took to that track pretty good back in February. So our racing's not done yet. We're winding the season down, but still got some more business to take care of, and I'll let these other fans call in, and you guys put on a good show tonight. Really enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys this weekend.
Mike Vaughn, he is the owner of Crate Racing USA, creator of the 525 series, 604-602. He's really done a lot, Ronnie, for the Southeast when it comes to keeping individuals in race cars, basically.
Well, I don't think that any of us realize often enough. I think we realize it from time to time, but I don't think we realize often enough how far this guy stuck his neck out to do what he's done with the 604 series and what he's trying to do with the 525s. And we all need to support him. We all do. We all need to support him. This 525 deal, it's an excellent engine, and you're gonna. It's like the racing. Some people like it fast, some like it slow, and with the engines, you're gonna have those that argue that if we're not having to sell our soul to buy an engine, then we're not racing. But there's not everybody out there. There's a lot of racers out there that will never have the chance. They'll never have the opportunity. They'll never have $1 million car owner to go to get a chance to race like that. But I know for a fact that you can get some people. It may have to be a little bit here, a little bit there, but you can get some people to help you go run with the NeSmith series and run with the Chevrolet Performance series. We've got these races coming up. We're in the fall now. Hopefully, we're out of the, everybody knows how many rainouts all the tracks had this year, and I think we've got to put on some good races for these fans. And the weather is such a big factor. The weather forecast anymore is such a big factor. if a family sees a bad forecast for the weekend, instead of going to the races, they might make plans to be indoors or something. But I think we're going to have some good weather here. It's one of my favorite times of the year. So hopefully these last few races we got coming up, and racing in general, hopefully we'll all have some good weather, some good races, and the tracks need the crowds to turn out. I mean, it's for the good of the whole industry that we all try to work together and keep this sport going that we obviously all have a passion for.
Ronnie, this next caller, you may know he's out of Wynot, Mississippi. First name Rodney. Rodney, welcome to the program.
Man, I don't know how I'm going to go behind Mike Vaughn on that one. I don't think Ronnie Johnson's that damn great. I mean, he's always late getting to the racetrack. He always is passing me every time I turn around and try to race. He's always passing me. But I don't think he's ever wrinkled my quarter panel or nothing. That guy really, though, all jokes aside, he's a class act and an inspiration to all of us, and definitely one of the best in the business, and always got a good attitude and a cool head on his shoulder, and always willing to lend a helping hand to fellow racers and everything like that. And it just don't get no better than Ronnie Johnson, and I'm proud to know him and proud to call him a friend, and glad he was able to get the championship.
Rodney, I'm glad I got one person fooled.
You ain't got me fooled as bad as you did Vaughn, though. He was blowing it all up. Nah, I ain't going that far. You always late to the track. I'm going to say something bad about you.
Well, I had Kyle Bronson's bunch. We ran into them on the way home from Greenville the other night. We stopped at a huddle house, and they were in there, and we were sitting next to them talking. That one guy with him, he said, I just got one question. He said, why are you always late to the racetrack? And I told him I couldn't help it. That's just me. If I wasn't, then it wouldn't be me. I'd be somebody else. So I can't change that. Just can't.
Well, congratulations on your championship, man. I'm like I say, really, I mean it. That it's an honor to know you, and hope you have a lot more years ahead of you, and in the racing, and hope you'll come back to Wynot. I'm glad you finally came to Wynot again.
Well, that's what I wanted to. While you're on here, I want to thank you and all the other track owners and promoters, that hosted these races, because we can't. We got to have a place to race. And I was communicating with Mitch McCarter today at 411, and I told him the same thing. Thanks for having us. He called he texted me and congratulated me on winning the championship. Well, we won 2 races up there, so I'm hoping he books up 4 next year. And we hadn't. I didn't run as well at Wynot as I would like to. I have run good there years ago before you got the track, but I think you and Mike got a pretty good relationship there, and I hope that you host some more of the races.
Well, I'm sure we will. We'll be working on the schedule here for long and everything like that. But we just hope things stay strong. And you know how it is nowadays. Like you said earlier, just a bad forecast can hurt your crowd nowadays. So it's crazy all the things that dirt track racing is up against nowadays. So we all of us that love it definitely have to stick together and try to support one another for sure. Because it's definitely got a tough road to hoe. But I think we can do it for sure.
Rodney, before you get out here, give us the lowdown on the Fall Classic, brother.
Yeah, we're at Wynot. We got 2 more races left this year. We're off this coming weekend, of course, for the Fall Classic, and the Cotton Picking 100 and all going on at Magnolia up there this weekend, and then the next weekend we'll have the prelude to the Fall Classic 100, and we're gonna have Super Lake models, NeSmith Straight Lake models, open wheel modified, NeSmith Street Stock and Pure Stock, and we're gonna have all the classes, and we're actually gonna offer something new this year. We're gonna offer the winner of each one of those feature races on October the 19th. There will have a guaranteed starting spot in the Fall Classic the very next weekend. So of course that leads us into that starting October 24th. That's on a Thursday. We'll have practice night at the Fall Classic at Wynot. Then Friday the 25th and Saturday the 26th, we'll have, the racing and everything with the Fall Classic 100. We're going to have a golf tournament on Friday morning. We got all kind of big things lined up for the Fall Classic. So it's, it'll be bigger and better than it's ever been, and we just hope to see everybody out there.
I know that I will be there with camera pointed towards the track. So thanks for calling in, talking to RJ, and we'll see you down the road, Rodney. All
right, good deal. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good one. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Well, that's got to be one of the better drivers/promoters in the country, RJ. What do you say?
I can tell you what, if Rodney is there racing, you can best bet that the fans gonna know that he gave it 100%. He's gonna get out there and stand. He's gonna kick them belts off and stand up in the seat and get up on that wheel. I can tell you that.
We spoke earlier about some of the younger competition that was in the NeSmith series. So we got one calling in. Josh Atkins would like to tell you congratulations. Josh, you with us?
Yes, sir. Man, I want to say it was an honor to run against Ronnie Johnson this year, and I got to say the biggest congratulations to him on winning this series, especially doing it with one race left. I mean, that speaks volumes about him compared to the way the series just went the last couple of years coming down to the last race. I mean, that just shows what kind of competition, how good of a driver Ronnie Johnson is. Like Ronnie said, he shows up late everywhere he goes, and he ends up qualifying on the pole, setting track records and stuff like that. And he gets there 5 minutes before qualifying starts.
Well, I know that I really appreciate you congratulate me there and all, and I know that it would be in the series and the promoter's best interest if this thing was coming down to the wire like it did last year with Matthew and David Earl. But as a racer, man, it's a load off my shoulders. When we saw that we like pretty much all year long we were kind of in striking distance, and Ronnie Lee just always would run good, and I'm thinking this guy's got to fall out of a race or he's got to have some trouble, which we were real fortunate with that, not really breaking down or anything, but Ronnie kind of got in a rut there, and we got ahead of him, and then he didn't get out of the rut, and he gave it up, and but I tell you, he was the man to beat, really, for 2/3 of the year there, and just kind of got in a rut there, and that's the way it is in racing. I've been on both ends of that, and you no matter how hard you try to work to prevent that, sometimes it's not in your control.
Josh, we were at West Plains Motor Speedway, and I know that you're not supposed to tilt your hand to any other driver or say oh my gosh, he's here. But you and I stood there and we looked at the history of the Show Me 100 prior to its move to Wheatland. And what was one of the things you said to me about the names on the list?
Look how many times Ronnie Johnson's on there. Look how many times his name's at the top of that list. I mean, he's raced everywhere. He's been all over the country, and he's stiff competition anywhere he goes. And I mean, it's just an honor to get to race with him. He helped me out some at Ocala this year when I had some trouble on Thursday night. Ronnie came over, and him and his crew helped me out, and that meant a lot. Being that I grew up, Ronnie Johnson was always my favorite race car driver growing up. Him and between Ronnie Johnson and Danny Peoples there at Talladega, I mean, it was an honor for Ronnie to come over and offer a little help to me there at Ocala.
Don't forget, we had to borrow your generator just to get through the final night. So it was. That wasn't no problem. That's something that I've seen, with this series, with the NeSmith series, and even, like with, again, I mentioned the Chevrolet Performance series. You got a group of drivers that's traveling around, and you hardly ever see, anybody at the other guy's throat. I mean, hardly ever. And if somebody needs something, you just go on. If you got it, you go on and give it to them, because later in the night or next week, you might be at their trailer needing you might be needing to plug into the generator. You know?
Hey, Josh,
there's been a really good camaraderie between all the drivers so far. Now, we still got one race left, but hopefully everybody's able to get along.
Josh, before I let you get out here, have you guys made a decision on whether you're going to be at the at TST this weekend or not?
As far as I know, our plans are to be at Talladega this weekend. We got some stuff wrong with the car that we don't really know what happened to it on Sunday afternoon over there at Greenville, and I want to go to the cotton picking, but I need to go back to Talladega and see if I can figure out what happened to my race car at Greenville, because it got real bad there on Sunday night. I don't think I've ever went to the back so quick starting where I started at.
Well, good luck, Josh. You guys figured it out, and you and Colton get that thing put together, and we'll see you at Talladega this weekend, brother.
Yes, sir.
Josh Hackins, he's pilot of the number 19 Yellowhammer construction car. Now, we've got a young fan, Ronnie, that wants to say congratulations. And I believe the young lady's name, her last name is Spears. Are you with us?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
Mackenzie Taylor.
Mackenzie Taylor, do you have something you want to say to Ronnie Johnson?
Uh-huh.
What do you want to say to him?
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Is Ronnie Johnson your favorite race car driver?
Uh-huh.
Where do you like to see him race at?
Where do you go to the races at?
Mm-hmm.
Do you go see him did you see him at Magnolia and at Why Not?
Uh-huh.
I heard you had pictures of him on the wall in your bedroom.
Uh-huh.
Well, all right. Well, tell him congratulations one more time, and then we'll let you get out of here.
Congratulations.
Well, thanks a lot. Thanks for calling.
That's cute. Oh, I hung up on the wrong person. Hope they'll call back. We had one more call. We'll give them a second. Let's see here. No, here we go. Let's see who this is. All right, Carl, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Michael Blunt.
Blunt Racing.
What's going on?
I'm sitting here talking to the 2013 champ. You calling to tell him anything?
Yeah, I was headed down the road to listen to your program when we finally got it on. I was going to call and just congratulate Ronnie. We've run with him all year long, and he probably don't remember this. About 2009 was about the first time we probably ever parked beside him up there at Columbus, the Bull Ring one time, and it was one cold Saturday. I think he was going to Sunday. He was going to Talladega. He made a comment to Jordan, and Jordan at this time was probably 12, 13 years old, that you want to go with us and help us work. And from that day on, she wanted to go with Ronnie Johnson, help him be on the pit crew. But
well, I do remember parking beside you, because I tell a story about that night quite often. That was the first night I'd ever run a 525 engine, and sometimes when those engines start up, they will backfire. I don't know why, but they will backfire. And one of your daughters, we were parked beside you. My car was headed out. Yours was headed in. So we're like driver's door to driver's door. And one of your daughters was helping you put your helmet on or something. And I was trying to get my car started. And that thing backfired. And I thought she was going to climb in that car with you. So I've told that story several times. But I wanted her to come and help us, because she's just in there working on whatever needs to be done. It's just there's so much. Like I said earlier, I don't think the casual fan realizes how much work it takes to go from week to week with these cars, and it's so hard to find people that can come and help you. But so for you to have your family go with you, I mean, that's really impressive for you to have your family to go with you. They're always with you and helping you, and so they're not just there for a free ride to the races. They believe in you, and they enjoy being there. So I take notice of that stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah, she remember that day from that happening. She remember that, but I was gonna call and say congratulations, and I was going to make sure, I know you probably don't remember this, but we was at, I think, Clay Hill, and I think we was getting lapped. And of all the
I
people,
do remember it. And
I think I was going to apologize for this, but I come out in the quarter and I seen a 5 card. I said, of all people, I don't want to hit Ronnie Johnson. I hit the wall and bounced off the wall and still hit you. So I
thought I hit you and knocked you into the wall, but
no, I come off the wall and hit you. I think so.
You, man, when you're out there racing, you're out there racing, and that night we had a decent car, but man, I was having to do a lot more. That kind of track right there, you have to do more driving than I want to do. You know, I mean, it's not slow, and it's kind of hard to get a hold of because it's got loose dirt on it. But you got to drive so hard there. You got to be so aggressive, and it's easy to get in trouble with somebody there.
Well, luckily, I didn't cause a bad moment at the end of the season. But congratulations, and I'll let y'all get back to the program.
Michael Blunt, he's pilot 121. We got a couple more, Ronnie. I hope you're okay with it. But let's welcome Adam Stewart. He worked at Green Valley, and he's had a lot to do with Talladega Short Track. Adam, welcome to the program.
Good evening. How are you?
It's Tuesday evening, the NeSmith Race Report. We're on the phone with the 2013 NeSmith Touring Series champion. I mean, the Flash. It's Ronnie Johnson.
Hey, here's the way I look at Ronnie Johnson, and I've seen him since I was a kid, and I'm not going to tell you how old I'll be in November because I might tell on him a little bit, but it's almost like Elvis coming into the racetrack when you see that bow tie pulling the gate anywhere. Everybody in the fans, I mean, everybody gets a little, they start pointing and oohing and ahhing because usually, of course, hot laps have started, but congratulations on the championship, and glad to see you stick that thing out, and if anybody deserved it, I'm sure you did.
I appreciate that, but here's a guy that's a movie star. I don't know if everybody knows that he's a movie star, and he's making it sound like I'm somebody. I've seen him. I went to the movies and saw him.
That's right. The famous freckle on my elbow. That's what I tell everybody. So you got to look real close, and if you got to zoom in, you might see my elbow. But I mean, I enjoy. I know earlier this year, Ronnie came to Green Valley, and of course, as most of the time he comes just about anywhere. He put on a clinic, and he and Montana Dudley both had a good race there. And you know, I think of all the good races, Talladega, and I was fortunate enough to go in the early stages of the NeSmith series down to Tampa, and some of the experiences and stuff, and just I mean, there ain't a better person, I don't feel like, to hang out with, and everybody that comes in the pits, they want to stop and talk, and most of the time, you know, those guys are there to race, and with Ronnie, you know, he's doing that to get fuel money to get to the next race, but he always takes time to sign that autograph, or, hey, how you doing, take a picture, and those are the guys we got to have, and I'm glad to get to know that and be around that. So, like I say, congratulations if anybody deserves it, and I'm sure he's on top of my list. I guess in my position sometimes I shouldn't have a favorite, but probably one of my top 2 or 3.
Well, I appreciate that. So now I've got Rodney Wingfield and Adam Stewart. Or Adam fooled.
Well, hey,
Adam, appreciate you taking part tonight in the championship tribute to Ronnie Johnson. We'll talk to you down the highway, brother.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Adam Stewart. This next guy, he's out of the Warrior shop. Mike Knuckles out of Warrior. Mike, you're on the phone with Ronnie Johnson.
What's happening, RJ?
I don't know what you guys working hard up there today.
Man, we've covered up today. Actually, me and Sanford were just talking about you and how good you done this year. And, you know, I know you didn't win it in our car, but we need to call and say you good job, though.
Well, I appreciate that. It means a lot to me that that I still have, you know, good friends with that I've worked with and raced with or raced for in the past, and even though we're maybe, you know, doing business with somebody else, I really tried hard to keep doors open and not to burn too many bridges. You never know. I mean, it's like I said earlier about borrowing stuff from your fellow racer. You never know when you're gonna need to make that call and see if somebody will help you. Again, this is a passion that we all have. Anybody that's involved in racing, whatever position they're in, you know, they have a passion for it, and you never know when you're gonna need somebody. So when you slam that door, sometimes you eventually going to go back and knock on it. So I appreciate that. Y'all build a great product, and Sanford and I, all the whole Goddard family, we've been friends forever.
Well, we're glad to have you back in our car running the 525 stuff too. So we're looking forward to hopefully a championship air if you can get it for us.
We'll see what we can do. We are running a Warrior there with the Chevrolet Performance Series. We got that one more race, you know, this weekend at Talladega. So everybody's looking forward to going to it.
All right, man. We'll get
Mike,
y'all
thank you.
Thanks for having us on, man.
No problem, bro. Talk to you later. Mike Knuckles out of the Warrior Shop. Ronnie, I know there's lots of folks sending congratulations to you since you guys picked up the championship on Sunday. And I know that you have a long list of guys who've helped you. And I know you don't like to miss anybody, but are there any thank yous that you want to give out before we get off the air here?
I would only get myself in trouble if I started trying to name names, but I can tell you that it seems like every weekend, every race we go to, it seems like somebody shows up at the shop and saves me. And I'm telling you, I mean, they're saving me because I don't know at the times that if somebody wouldn't have came and just handed those tools, help load up, help, and I mean, sometimes it's just I had a guy come over Friday before we left at Greenville. I thought I was okay. I thought I had time. I mean, I was short of help. I was by myself, but I thought I was going to be okay. And if he wouldn't have showed up, we would have been. We weren't actually late. We got there at last minute, but we would have been late. So there's untold amounts of those people, and if I don't know if any of them would be listening to this show, but if they are, they all know who they are, and I want to thank them. And you know, just like talking to Michael there, everybody that races has got a family member or a family that supports them or have supported them, or if they don't necessarily support them, they allow them to go do what we do. And so many thanks to all those people. You know, it would be impossible to start naming people off. I guess one of the biggest influences in my life, as in most anyone's life, was, you know, my dad raced, and I grew up around these cars. And when the bell rang at 3 o'clock or 3:15, I couldn't wait to get home. There was either somebody's race car in the shop, or if my dad, and you know, later on he drove for people, he would go to their shop or wherever, and I'd go with him and get in the car and turn the steering wheel while he set the caster and camber. Or when I got old enough, some of the guys that my dad drove for would let me take their car out to Cleveland Speedway and pack the track. And at the time, they used to wet the fire out of that place. I'd be the first car out there, and I'd come in when they come out there and got me. You know, when they come in, the guys come in and motion me in, and we'd scrape 100 pounds of mud off of it. So every one of those people have an influence on us, whether they know it or not. And all of those people I have to thank for just letting me do what I do. And but again, you know, my dad didn't really want me to race. I think he thought it was all right if I was just going to go over here to Cleveland Speedway or Boyd Speedway and race occasionally. But he wasn't too happy when I started taking it serious. And he didn't try to keep me from racing, but there was a lot of times there early on that I couldn't understand why. You know, here's a guy that raced and had you know, he always had. He never really raced for a living when as I remember, he always had another job or business or whatever, and it's all I wanted to do. And I couldn't understand how a guy could try to, kind of dissuade you from doing something when you got it from him. But I owe my dad a lot more than I ever knew that I would owe him. I think there's a country song about that or something, or maybe there was one, but it goes all the way back to that, just being around these things. Growing up, before that bell would ring at school, if it was a rainy day on Friday, I'm all day instead of doing my studies, I'm trying to wish the rain away so I could go watch my dad race at Boyd Speedway on Friday night. So, it goes all the way back to that. There's hundreds of people that have done something, if it nothing but a word of encouragement or, just like, Mike Knuckles calling there a while ago, Sanford Goddard, him, C.J. Rayburn, there's, and I know, C.J.'s, everybody thinks the guy's quirky, but I'm telling you, all of those guys that I've mentioned, I know that if I got in a bind, because I've done it before, if I called them and told them I needed some help, they'd help me or they'd find somebody that would help me. So there's no way that I could start naming names. It's hundreds of people, and that's not just the case with me. That's like I said in my interview there at Greenville, it doesn't matter if you're running, the mini stocks, all the way up to, if you make it to the NASCAR series, you did not do it yourself. It's a big group that gets you there every week. If you go to the races and you can tell, if something happens and the crowd gets behind you, you can tell it. It's just like going to a ball game. You go to big football games and the one side gets real loud for the other. It encourages them, and sometimes you're so close to just throwing in the towel and saying, I'm just not going tonight, or I'm not going this week, or whatever, and just one person can make the difference. And don't know how many times I've gone to the races and came home with a lot better story to tell than the one I thought I was going to tell when we left.
Turning into Cleveland Speedway not too long ago, was that one of those nights where that was special to you to get back to Cleveland?
That place has always been tough for me. It's the first track that I ever raced on, and my dad leased that track, and I'm really giving, and I don't mind giving my age. I'm, like I said earlier, I'll be 58 years old before we have our NeSmith banquet, and I'm proud to be that and still be able to do, what I do. But going all the way back, like 1978, my dad leased that track, and later bought it, and it was just impossible to go there and race. And I see, I can feel for all the incidents that I've seen over the years. We used to race at Atomic Speedway, and Billy Ogle Jr. raced there when his dad and uncle had the track. And, we go to East Alabama, and William Thomas races there. And you go to, it just goes on and on and on. You go to, later on when Monty Morrow had the track at Cleveland, and Todd raced there. But it just goes on and on. In somebody's eyes, if you're related to the track owner or the track manager or whatever, as soon as you pull up, it's like they think that you've been, the people just boo you. You've done something wrong before you ever get out of the truck. You might go to somewhere else, and next night those same people are up there cheering for you, but it's just really hard. It is really hard to go race at a track that your family has something to do with. And so we would get into that, go up there to Cleveland, and it didn't matter if you I could have won 20 races there, and you get no credit because, somebody thinks you've been given given a free rein, and it's not the case. So that place was always tough for me. So I quit going there and didn't go there for a long, long time. And my dad sold the track and, later passed away. And, I always wanted to go back up there and race. And we just, I don't know, one week I thought it was time to go back. So it's been a couple of years ago now, but we went up there and ran about 3 times. And it was good to go up there and race. But
you called Mrs. Johnson on the way and talk about that conversation. She almost didn't believe you?
Oh, the guys, the 2 guys that went with me. I mean, we worked, we had raced, I think we raced at Boyd's on Friday nights, and, and I never know what I'm doing, and I've got an idea, but I don't make any plans until the dead last minute. Anybody that knows me knows that. And so anyway, I had a couple of guys came over and were helping me on Saturday. And they're like, well, where do you think about going tonight? I said, I'm going to Cleveland. And they're like, where are we really going? I said, no, I'm wanting to go to Cleveland. And I swear to you, we're going up the road, and this one guy, he's sitting up there, and he says, I'm still waiting to see if we're going to get off at exit 20 or if we're really going to Tazewell tonight, And but when we left the shop, we got about 2 blocks from the shop, and I met my wife at a red light, and she calls. She says, where are you going? I said, Cleveland, and it was just like dead silence. And she says, really? And I said, yeah, I'm going to Cleveland. And we went up there and wound up. I think we wound up running 2nd or 3rd, and actually was I remember Chris Wall for some reason. Chris Wall was all the way from where he lives, and he was at Cleveland Speedway, and it was somewhat of a special event, but it wasn't like a Lucas race or something that he was following at the time. I don't know why he was there, but he ended up winning the race, and he actually, if I'm not mistaken, that was the year we had all these tornadoes, and he gave his winnings to somebody that had lost their stuff to a tornado. And and racing's full of stories like that. I didn't know that Chase had given his prize money, to charity until I heard about it a while ago. So racing is really. We have our own culture, and it's not for everybody, but I'm proud to be a part of it.
I'm certainly. I talked to somebody in the stand who was in the stand that night at Cleveland, and they said that it went from everybody in the audience, the crowd, that you can see the main road there, and you can see where all the trucks come in at, and everybody. He said you could hear it was a gasp, then it was talking, and then it just got louder and louder and louder, and it was like the guy said it was like you explained it, kind of like being at a football game. And the underdog was coming back, or something extremely great had happened on the field, So, I told you, go ahead.
We couldn't unload the car because, myself and the guys with me, their phones just kept ringing, and they're like, somebody said that y'all are at Cleveland, and they're like, yep, So then it goes on Facebook and that, and I mean, I couldn't believe that it was that big of a deal. It was just something that I felt like I needed to do, and the time was right to do it. And but it's still we went about 3 times, and I haven't been back since then because there's still some distant family involvement, and I just don't feel right about going there. So we haven't been back, but I miss it. It's a shame, and I think of this often, it's a shame that there's a perfectly good racetrack 30 miles from here that I can't go, that I feel like I can't go race at. The current owner, I get along with great. I do business with him, and from time to time he tells me that, he reminds me that I'm welcome to come there, but it's just really tough. Like I said, I go to these tracks. There was, I was reminded of all of this weekend. didn't even know what had happened in the late model race, but I saw the Dirt on Dirt interviews and the footage of the race, and I guess Bub was trying to get by a lap car and got into him, and there's a family involvement there, and whether that had anything to do with it or not, but it just brings back memories. So, but that was pretty neat up there at Cleveland. Seriously, we pulled in, got out of the truck, and there was actually people that applauded. They didn't have a great big crowd there that night, but they actually applauded. And we got to walk up to the ticket booth. It's been so long since I've been there, they changed the entrance to the track. I didn't even know where to turn in. Of course, I had a couple of guys with me that had been going up there, and but we went to walk over to buy our armbands, and there's a guy that I should know his name. I don't even know his name, but he's a big race fan. He still comes to races, and you're liable to see him. I bet you'll be at Johnny's track next week or this weekend, because he goes all over. But anyway, that particular guy, he motions me up to the fence, and I come up there, and the guy sticks a $20 bill through the fence, and he says, "Can I buy a man a steak?" And I'm thinking, this is unbelievable. We're just up here racing, but it was it was something, and maybe we'll get to go back over there and race again. But I just always try really hard not to rock the boat, not to cause any controversy, and not to get involved in any of that stuff. So it's no fun to go to the races and have the fans or the crowd or even your fellow racers thinking that somebody's giving you a race or giving you a start position or something like that. And there's plenty of other places to go, so we just don't go there.
Well, Ronnie, congratulations on picking up the 2013 NeSmith National Touring Series Championship. I first saw you race in '97 at Green Valley Speedway, local here, before I was even in the business at all. Became a fan of you. You got there, and forgive me for saying it late, but you got the backup car off the race trailer. You drove it to a second place finish. I was a fan starting then, my first introduction to you. Knowing that I actually know you now, the 1997 web never would have believed it, but it's a pleasure to know you. A pleasure to cover you this year with the NeSmith series through our media efforts and whatnot. Hoping that you have several more years ahead of you to win championships in a race with us or wherever you may do. Congratulations, and see you this weekend at Talladega Short Track.
Well, I appreciate all the kind words, and I appreciate all the fans. If they're the way I look at it, even if they're not a fan of mine, they're a fan of somebody. So I appreciate all of them. We need them all, and certainly be looking forward to going to the next race, which would be at Talladega this weekend.
Only adding to your legend this past weekend, picking up the 2013 NeSmith National Touring Series, Ronnie Johnson. Ronnie, we'll see you at Talladega, brother.
Thanks a lot.
We got to send you off to the Champions music.